Alright, Chief.
What are you looking at?
Anytime you're ready. Camera's still
Ready?
rolling. Still rolling.
Alright. So hi John Claude again. Hi, you're blocking my face on see John Claude.
Last row.
So you had mentioned divide. Okay, you had made a juxtaposition between dividing a land to share alongside displaced people. You juxtapose that to rape, i.e., your scenario was if I raped Mikhail
No.
and you cuffed me in my face, would you be justified? If I raped Mikhail and you cuffed me in my face, the answer is yes, you'd be justified. However, if I no if and this is legal in some countries, if me and someone else were to if you and I were to share Mikhail and then you stop wanting to share Mikhail and you cuffed me in my face as a completely different type of justification. Now it's fair to assume, and it's rightly so, the Arabs have been living in that stretch of land for 1,000+ years. That can't be denied, and there's some sort of credibility that needs to be attached and given to that. However, there's some sort of attachment and credibility that needs to be given again to my previous argument, which was Italy. Italy, there's no such thing as an Italian. Italians will tell you that. There's no such thing as an Italian nationality. There are a myriad people, Slovaks and Serbs and Czechs and a random people live in Italy and are only connected now to a shared language which all of them had to learn in that geographical location because of the majority of individuals that were living there before their entry. Italy was a creation after World War II, much like Israel, much like Serbia and Montenegro, much like the Czech Republic, much like Poland. The majority of that stretch of land that Germany conquered after World War II is created land, and because of the displacement of all the Jewish people worldwide, Israel had to be created in order to provide them a nationality, just like we created a stretch of land to provide the Serbs and the Montenegrins, what is called them. Those people a shared nationality because of a shared culture. And even though the culture has even though it was not taken into consideration the fact that those cultures had differences and disagreements, they were put together in a stretch of land. And that's why North Italians don't sound like or agree with or have the same policies or have the same government structure as South Italy. There's an unknown invisible partition between North Italy and South Italy, even though they share the same nationality. If we are arguing that what happens in Israel should be wiped completely off the slate, then we have to wipe pieces of Italy, pieces of Europe off the slate, because they were built under a similar construct and framework, even though conflict did not exist in the same way that it exists under Israel. You also made that. I'm going to read something that yeah. You made a statement about dividing a home. If Brandon and I made agreement on our own to divide your land, we'd be wrong, right? However, there's a legal framework within which, if we had been displaced from that land and you ended up living on that, if we had been illegally displaced from that land and you ended up living on that land for a period of time, there are legal frameworks within which that land could be divided in a manner where both of us can live peacefully. Similarly, that was what had happened in Israel between the Israelis and the Arabs. An opportunity for the land to be divided peacefully amongst a people that have been living there for 1,000 years and a displaced people. And the Arabs said no, even though there was a legal framework within which that was possible, and that legal framework had been used and succeeded before. The Arabs ignored that and called 5 other Arab nations to displace them after being replaced into a land where they could finally find a shared nationality. The Arabs continued to displace them after after they found an opportunity to be replaced. The Arabs displaced them, attempted to displace them, and all of a sudden that's justifiable. Is it also then justifiable for the South Italians to attempt to displace the North Italians, even though there was a legal framework within which it was possible for that land to be divided equally and peaceably, and the Arabs decided to say no? Is it justifiable is it justifiable and just to deny the legal framework that had succeeded for years before? Is it justifiable morally to say that a displaced people should not have a right to shared nationality alongside another shared nationality, much like we had done with the Serbs and the Montenegrins, and had worked even though there is no actual shared nationality between the two different ethnic groups? What is the problem then with two ethnic groups sharing a nationality and a nation and a land that was logically agreed upon before, and only the Arabs had said no to? What is the functional problem with allowing since we are talking so much about cause, what is the logical issue, the wrong, the harm in sharing the land? Is there a logical harm in sharing a land between people who had been living on a land for 1,000 years and people who had lived before and are not fighting for the whole land but simply to find an opportunity for replacement, an opportunity to call a nation a home peaceably alongside someone else? And just because I know you have another statement to make, I keep on finding it not necessarily comical but confusing that we keep on turning this into a Coca-Cola and Christmas argument and a statement about how much financial or political worth the Jews have in America, and how Coca-Cola and Xmas and Happy Holidays translate into the conflict over the Gaza Strip. I don't see. But you made an allusion of some sort between the political power, the political and economic power of Israel, of Jews, in the United States, and their presence and their control over businesses such as Coca-Cola, and their warping of cultural norms such as Christmas into Xmas, and how that plays into the Israel-Palestine conflict. I'm genuinely confused as to how Coca-Cola plays a part in war. But I just want to allow my partner to make a quick statement.
Yeah. Now Dali will say something.
Okay, I'm going to be very brief. Jean-Claude, earlier you stated that Israel, why are you bringing him back?
No,
that Israel oppressed the Palestinians, right? And the war and whatever based on that. Stop it.
Could you allow my partner to speak, please? He's badgering.
He's not doing nothing. He is badgering.
He's looking at you.
I don't like that.
Everybody avert Adali's gaze while she makes
I'm not going to be talking for a whole 5 minutes. All I'm saying basically is why now would the Palestinians want to uproot these people off of their land that they had for however much years instead of just sharing the land? You said earlier that it was they took their water. Who's to define who water belongs to? They should be able to share that. That is something that was here even before they came across. And also, let's take into consideration, let's look at squatters for instance, right? Squatters come on your land and they live on your land. After a certain amount of years, they have rights to your land. And at the end of the day, nobody, well, yeah, you will say something about it, but what are you going to do? You're going to go take a shotgun and blow their head open because they're on your land and it's your land and they pay for your land? At the end of the day, I think as a human being, you should know that, okay, these people are here, they probably have children to take care of, they probably have wives to feed or whatever, a job to go to. Why uproot them and then put them in a situation far worse than they were in the beginning? I think what Palestine needs to do is have some consideration for Israel. Stop this dumb war, because what's the point of the violence? At the end of the day, all they have to do is find some common ground and start. They could start with the water, because it's not neither theirs and both of them using it.
Ryan. Yes. Okay. Sudden death 5 minute round now.
Sudden death now.